Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Symphonic Warrior Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for Post-Dimension Force. We got a bunch of new cards for the Symphonic Warrior deck. For those of you who don't know, I'm a really big fan of this deck. Actually, I am a big fan of all Pendulum decks in some way or another, but the Symphonic Warriors actually got some pretty decent support in the newest pack in the form of a new Synchro Pendulum, 2 new Pendulum monsters, and a spell card. That's enough, definitely, for a deck profile update, since it's been a good while since the Symphonic Warriors even got support. I believe Raging Tempest was the last time, which was an Arc 5 support set, so definitely been a couple years since we've had some Symphonic Warriors support. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the new Pendulum monsters, I am running 3 of the new Symphonic Warrior Guitarists. A scale 0 monster. You can target one other Symphonic Warrior card you control, return both that card and this card to the hand. You can only use this effect of Symphonic Warrior Guitarist once per turn. A very good pendulum scale effect, being able to just bounce cards to reuse again from your hand. And if Symph Amplifier is on your field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. And also, if this card is normal or special summon, you can target one card in your pendulum zone, return it to the hand. You can only use each effect of Symphonic Warrior Guitarist once per turn. So just having your field spell, which will be a big part of a lot of the different plays in the deck, the Symph Amplifier is a big part of it. And setting up this card, being a scale 0, you can even just have it set in the pendulum scale and then use it to return one other Symphonic Warrior you controlled to the hand and this card, and then just special summon it right onto the field while you have the setup of your field spell. Very good for that setup and play style of pendulum summoning out, and it's also your tuner in the deck, so you will use it to summon out your main go-to Synchro Pendulum monster, Symphonic Warrior Rocks. For the other new Pendulum monster that I run in the deck, I'm running 3 Symphonic Warrior DJJ, with this card being the scale 8 once per turn. During your main phase, you can flip one face-down monster position Symphonic Warrior you control to face-up defense position. If a Symphonic Warrior monster's effect is activated, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your Pendulum zone. You can only use this effect of Symphonic Warrior DJ once per turn. So this is the level 4 monster that you can utilize to get out your level 7 Synchro, special summoning out your Guitarist, and then special summoning DJ from the scale means you have your 2 monsters needed to then go into your level 7 Synchro monster. It's that easy with this play, so you definitely want to max out your numbers of Guitarists along with DJJ just for this play. And if this card's normal or special summon, you can special summon one Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck in face down defense position, except for Symphonic Warrior DJJ. Or if Symph Amplifier is in your field zone, you can just special summon that Symphonic Warrior monster out onto the field instead of Symphonic Warrior DJJ, obviously, and negate its effects. So the big play with this one is to set up your flip monster, which is your Symphonic Warrior Synthesis, being able to then utilize its flip effect to add a Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, just giving you more and more resources for your pendulum summon. For the other Pendulum monsters, we're running 3 of the Symphonic Warrior Mics. You can special summon this card from your hand by removing from play 3 Symphonic counters on your field. And after you normal or special summon this card, you can normal summon one monster during your main phase in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. So the search and power you have with all your Symphonic Warrior monsters will definitely stack up when you can just summon out Mics and then have that additional play. And unless you have a Symphonic Warrior card in your other Pendulum scale, this card's Pendulum scale becomes 4, and once per turn during your end phase, you can target one of your banished Symphonic Warrior monsters and add to your hand. This will come into play with some of the lower number Symphonic Warrior monsters we run, but still a great addition to the deck to use, and for the fact that this is a level 5 monster, which means you can use your Symphonic Warrior drums in this card to even go into the Symphonic Warrior Rocks, being the level 7 requirements for there. And for the last of the Pendulum monsters, I also run 3 of the Symphonic Warrior Guitar. When it's normal summon, you can target one Symphonic Warrior monster in your graveyard and special summon it. So you can set up some of the older Symphonic Warrior monsters in your graveyard as they are the tuners to special summon out onto the field. And with Symphonic Warrior Guitar being a level 3 monster, it can be also adjusted with some pretty good plays with all the other ones who run the deck. And also for more synchro plays with our tuner, Guitarist, and the other lower number Symphonic Warriors. And with its Pendulum scale being 7 and being able to discard one card to special summon a Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck except for Guitar, you have the graveyard set up for your other non-Pendulum Symphonic Warrior monsters in the graveyard with its Pendulum scale, and then also just being able to special summon another Symphonic Warrior from the deck, with the new ones being a great use for that play to then activate their own monster effects. For the non-pendulum monster Symphonic Warriors, I run 3 Symphonic Warrior Synthis. With this card's flip effect, you can add 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, except for Synthis. And once per turn, you can target 1 monster you control or in your graveyard whose original name includes Symphonic Warrior, except for Synthis. Until the end of this turn, this card's name becomes that original name, and replace this card's effect with that monster's original effect. So you have type attribute options with the other Symphonic Warrior monsters, which 2 of them being Symphonic Warrior Piano, running 2 copies of this card once per turn, being able to declare a monster type and select 1 face-up Symphonic monster on the field, and that monster becomes that monster type. And you can declare 1 monster type and remove from play this card from your graveyard to select 1 face-up monster you control and make it that monster type. Adjusting those monster types will definitely come in handy for some of the extra deck plays, but being able to copy that monster effect with Synthis is another big part of it. For the one-ofs, I run 1 drums and 1 bassist. Now you run these also for the discard cost of guitar, setting them up in the graveyard. With bassist, once per turn, you can select 1 face-up Symphonic Warrior monster on the field and increase its level by the number of cards in your hand. This increase lasts until the end phase, and you can banish this card from your graveyard to select 1 face-up Symphonic Warrior monster you control and increase its level by the number of cards in your hand. Once again, adjusting levels is a big part of it, because you do run a good variety of different level Symphonic Warrior monsters, which you can make use of. And drums, being able to declare an attribute and change that means you have other cards in the extra deck that you can summon out quite easily because of that attribute change. Whether it be the fact that the Symphonic Warrior monsters are all wind, you can help with that adjustment with some of your other monsters also. And that's it for the Symphonic Warrior monsters in the main deck. I also run 1 Destrudo, the Dragon's Frisson, for additional tuner plays and being able to special summon it from the graveyard and discard it for other cards, since you just have to discard 1 card, which you can also discard this card off of guitar, and then special summon it back onto the field from the graveyard for other synchro plays. The generic play for your Symphonic Warrior rocks just needs 1 tuner and 1 or more non-tuner monsters, so you can use Destrudo with another non-tuner monster you may have on the field to special summon it out, and then there's your level 7 synchro play also. And for the rest of the main deck monsters, I just run 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring and 3 Effect Veiler, just good hand traps to rely on. A lot of the plays will come down to the Symphonic Warriors, but having this hand trap lineup for a little extra protection will always pop up when going up against your opponent. And that is it for the main deck monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Symp Amplifier with the new Symphonic Warriors. This card is very, very important to have on the field. Each time the effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated, you place 1 Symphonic counter on this card. And when that effect resolves, all Symphonic Warrior monsters on the field gain 1 attack for each of the counters on this card. And once per turn, you can remove 5 or 7 counters on this card to activate, depending on the number of counters removed. If you remove 5, you inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each Symphonic Warrior card on the field. And if it's 7, you banish all cards your opponent controls and or in their graveyard up to the number of Symphonic Warrior cards on the field. So you can get a full field of 5 and then also have your 2 pendulum scales set up as well to banish a total of 7 cards with these 7 counters played. And it's each time the effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated. So if you at least have all 7 occupied, you can activate at least one of those effects each turn, giving you these 7 counters needed. And with the more Symphonic Warrior monsters we get, the easier this play is to resolve. And for the new spell from the set, we are running 3 General Probe, a continuous spell. Each time an effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated, place 1 Symphonic counter on this card. When that effect resolves, you can only use each of the following effects of General Probe once per turn. You can remove 3 from your field to add 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. If you normal or special summon a Symphonic Warrior monster, you can add 1 Symp Amplifier from your deck to your hand. So this card, you can just search out your field spell. You activate it, then use a Symphonic Warrior monster effect, and that adds your field spell. And each time you can apply the effect depending on the number of Symphonic counters removed from your field means you can also remove them from this card, making it that much easier to utilize the main effect of Symp Amplifier. For the one-ofs for these spells, I also run 1 for 1. This is to summon out your Symphonic Warrior Bassus a little more faster, while setting up some other ones potentially in the graveyard. Also, 1 Pot of Desires. You run plenty of play sets. The biggest fear I'd say with this card is just hitting some of the one-ofs, but I'm not too worried about that because the good majority of play sets are some of the more important Symphonic Warrior monsters, and you do need that draw power just for consistency for your pendulum summons. The 1 Terraforming along with the new spell card for Symphonic Warriors, just another searcher for the field spell, always comes in handy. The 1 Foolish Burial for sending the non-pendulum monsters to the graveyard, and the 1 Call by the Grave for once again stopping our opponent's plays along with our hand traps. And that's it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. The only trap I'm running in the deck is the 3 Infinite Impermanence, a great addition, especially if you go second against your opponent, to use this card against them. and as for the main deck being done, we will now move on to the extra deck. I run 2 of the new Synchro Symphonic Warrior Rocks. If this card is in the monster zone and is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can place it in your Pendulum Zone. You can only use each of the following effects of Symphonic Warrior Rocks once per turn. If this card is special summon, you can add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. If Symp Amplifier is in your field zone, you can destroy 1 card on the field. So with it, you have recycle power, you have a scale 10 card that can be summoned out into the Pendulum Zone, so always useful there as well. And its Pendulum Scale effect is during each standby phase, you can add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of rocks once per turn, and when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can destroy both that monster and this card. Another protection card for some of your lower level and attack Symphonic Warrior monsters you may have on the field. For other synchro plays, I do run 1 Nirvana High Paladin. This card was made more readily available in the Ghost from the Past set, so I do like running 1 copy of it. Just recycle from the graveyard, just needing a Pendulum Summon monster to make it, and just needing a tuner and a non-tuner synchro monster means you can use Symphonic Warrior Rocks along with another Pendulum Summon monster on the field to summon out this card. And also 1 Baron de Fleur for some of the bigger power plays. If you don't have Baron de Fleur, you can always run Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon instead of this card, along with 1 Borreload Savage Dragon. We do run a couple Link monsters, so always useful there. 1 Virtual World QB for the Banish plays, along with 1 High Speed Roid Kite Drake, needing a Wind Machine Tuner, which can usually be done with this deck. Same with Clear Wing Rider, a higher level monster, needing a Wind Tuner, and 1 non-tuner Wind Synchro monster, which Symphonic Warrior Rocks fits that position also. And for the Link monsters, I run the 1 Link Karibo for the basis play when need be, 1 Halcify Rax for special summoning out the tuners and then setting them up in the graveyard to use, 1 Cross Sheep for the synchro plays that we can get along with the Link summon of this card, and then to the arrows it points to, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Apollosa to finish off the rest of the extra deck. And then as for some of the go-to plays, like I said, when you activate your General Probe, each time the effect of a Symphonic Warrior card is activated, and if you normal or special summon 1, it just gets you your play right then and there. So then if you go for the normal summon of your Symphonic Warrior guitar, you can add a Symphonic Warrior monster from your graveyard and special summon it. So this can even be set up with some of the discard that you could have done from the play as well. But you can also go for the DJJ play, being one of the newer plays, to summon out this card. When it's normal summon, special summoning 1 Symphonic Warrior from your deck in face down defense position. This will activate your General Probe. You can then set the Synthesis after you add the field spell from your deck to your hand. The only bad thing is you will activate the 1 Symphonic Warrior card. You're missing the 1 counter from that, but you will get the effect of that card to then place the counter that you missed onto the General Probe, setting that Symphonic Warrior card, then activating your field spell as well. So with 2 cards from that, you got 2 searches done on the field as well, depending on what else you have to search out. If you have the additional Pendulum Scale as well, you can activate that card, building up more of the counters on the field. Controlling the field spell means you can also special summon out the Symphonic Warrior Guitarist from your hand onto the field, and with those 2 cards, placing them in the extra deck for the Synchro Summon, since it's a tuner, to summon out the Symphonic Warrior Rocks on the field. And when this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle on card effect, placing it in the Pendulum Scale, and once per turn of this card special summon, you can add 1 face-up Pendulum monster from your extra deck to your hand, meaning you can add back the Guitarist, setting it in the scale, and then going for the Pendulum Summon out onto the field because of that card. And then for that play with this card in your field zone, being able to then rely on that Pendulum play to then have the additional counters built up not just by the General Probe, but from the Symp Amplifier on the field as well. Relying on some of the other cards in the deck, including the use of the field spell. If you were to use the scale effect to, during the main phase, flip 1 based on monster, you can have the DJJ and the additional Symp Amplifier you may have set on the field, and then set the scale with your Symp Amplifier, being able to then target 1 flip face down monster on the field equal to face up defense position, activating the effect of the Synthesis to then add 1 Symphonic Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. You can then search and add the Guitarist back to your hand, setting it in the scale. You can target 1 other Symphonic Warrior card you control, return both that card and this card to the hand, so meaning you can bounce both of these cards back to your hand, and with that then you flipped that card face up, giving you the play for then being able to either use the Symp Amplifier you might have set up on the field already with the spell card, and special summoning out the Guitarist onto the field, and having that other special summon Synchro Summon play onto the field also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy the video. Like I said, I definitely do love pendulum decks, and this deck just added to it, especially when they ever add an extra deck monster that's also part pendulum. I think that's always fun to use in any of those decks. But as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.